In July of 711, on the banks of a river in southern Spain, a single 4-day battle ended a kingdom. The Visigothic Kingdom of Hispania had ruled the peninsula for centuries. After Guadalete, it simply stopped existing. This is the battle that opened the door to nearly 8 centuries of Islamic presence in Western Europe. To understand why Guadalete happened the way it did, you have to understand that the Visigoths were already fractured before a single Muslim soldier set foot in Spain. King Witiza had died, and the kingdom was still recovering from the civil war that followed. Roderic, the commander of the Gothic cavalry, seized the throne, but not through any peaceful or universally accepted transition. Witiza's own sons never recognized him as king. That crack in Visigothic unity is the single most important fact of this entire battle. That crack became an opening. Count Julian, the governor of Ceuta, had personal grievances against Roderic, serious enough that he made a secret alliance with the Muslims. He didn't just offer information about Gothic troop movements, he provided the boats. Julian personally ferried the first 7,000 Muslim troops under TariqbinZyad across the straits, timed precisely for when Roderic was occupied fighting Basques and Franks in the north, nowhere near the coast. This didn't start as an invasion. Musa bin Nusayr, the governor of North Africa, authorized this as an exploratory raid, nothing more. But early success has a way of changing plans. As Tariq's forces kept winning, what began as a probe turned into something much larger, a full campaign of conquest. Commanders of the Crescent, leading the Muslim side, TariqbinZyad in the field, Musa bin Nusayr directing the broader campaign as governor of North Africa, and 2 noted Berber officers, Tarif and Usman, commanding alongside them. Commanders of the kingdom. On the Visigothic side, King Roderic held overall command. Count Theodomir was the first Gothic commander to actually engage the invaders. Bencio led the cavalry, and technically fighting for the other side entirely. Count Julian providing the intelligence and transport that made this whole campaign possible in the first place. Once Tariq's forces landed, he made a decision that's become legendary. He ordered the boats burned. There would be no retreat across the straits. Fight or die on this shore. He then positioned his army with real precision. Right flank anchored on the foothills, left flank on the River Seleman, a position chosen specifically to box in the one thing the Visigoths did better than anyone: open field cavalry maneuver. The Day of Horrors. For the first 3 days, Roderic did exactly what Visigothic commanders were trained to do. Repeated powerful cavalry charges, shock action meant to break an enemy line through sheer force. Day 2 was brutal enough to earn its own name, the Day of Horrors. And still, the Muslim lines held, the secret deal. On the 4th night, the battle was decided somewhere. No sword was drawn. The sons of Witiza, the same men who'd never accepted Roderic as king, secretly negotiated with the Muslims. Their price: the return of their father's 3,000 royal estates. Their promise? To desert Roderic at the moment it would hurt him most. And that moment came. Tariq shifted his elite black troops from the center out to the left wing, repositioning for exactly this opportunity. Right on cue, Witiza's sons deserted, and the Gothic flanks that depended on them simply collapsed. Tariq launched a double envelopment combined with a frontal assault. There was no recovering from it. Roderic's army didn't retreat in order. It came apart. And Roderic himself? He fled the collapsing field, and he was never seen again. No body, no capture, no confirmed death. All that was ever found near the river was his white horse, Aurelia, and a single sandal. A king simply vanished from history in the middle of the battle that ended his kingdom. None of this happens without discipline on the Muslim side. The Berbers under Tariq were, by tradition, hit-and-run raiders, fast, loose, opportunistic. Tariq retrained them into close, compact formations built specifically to absorb heavy cavalry charges. And that mattered, because the Visigoths brought exactly that: dominant heavy cavalry and infantry-wielding German battle axes. It wasn't raw force that decided the early days of this battle. It was formation discipline holding against fury, terrain as a weapon. Tariq also chose his ground with real care. The lagoon of Janda restricted open movement across the field. Wooded hills further blocked the kind of fast, sweeping cavalry maneuver the Visigoths relied on. Put simply, the terrain took away the Visigoths' best weapon before the fighting even started. Why the Muslims won. 3 things decided this battle in the Muslims' favor: intelligence, Count Julian's detailed knowledge of Gothic troop movements; diplomatic sabotage, turning the disloyalty of Wititza's sons into a battlefield weapon; and aggressive defense, absorbing everything a numerically superior force could throw at them, then striking back at exactly the right moment. On the other side, the failures were just as decisive. Roderic never waited for his full army to concentrate. Before engaging, he led a force that, at its core, was disloyal, riddled with the very grievances that would betray him on day 4. And he chose a battlefield where marshes and hills neutralized his own cavalry, the one advantage that might have saved him. The reckoning. Historians have compared Guadalete to the Battle of Cannae, not for the scale of the casualties, but for the totality of the outcome. This wasn't a battle that weakened the Visigothic Kingdom. It was a battle that ended it. The entire political order collapsed, with no organized force left to contest what came next. What came next was centuries. Centuries of Islamic presence and influence across the Iberian Peninsula, all traceable back to 4 days on the banks of one river. A single battle, a single vanished king, and Western Europe was never quite the same again. Thank you for tuning in to Time Capsule. Riz. Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what historic battle we should unlock next.